Hi there! Today's topic: should you stick to vinyl when it comes to new albums or possibly reissues, or should you stick to CDs and digital? Well, this is not, disclaimer, a video about like the inherent superiority of vinyl over CDs and streaming. If you believe that, good for you. And if you believe that digital is better than analog, well, I'm fine with that. You do you. No, this is a very specific video about one issue, which is compression and the loudness war. Now, I think at this point, most people have heard of the idea of a loudness war. So to sum it up, there is like a fixed limit to how loud you can get in the digital domain, and if you want to get as loud as possible, you will have to decrease the dynamic range of the music, like make the quietest part louder and louder, and squash the whole signal more and more and more. Why is this important when it comes to vinyl over digital? This is because mastering and cutting to vinyl is a very different affair. There's like a physical limit to how loud you can cut music to vinyl, because at some point you will have playback issues. Now, things are a bit better today with like better turntables for most people, like compared to, let's say, the 60s. But you can't just push the volume up and up and up. You have to deal with the limitations of like the medium itself. I'm taking this screenshot from the site magicvinyldigital.net, I think, which I will link in the description below. And I can't encourage you enough to go check this website, which do a fantastic job of comparing very technically the new albums. So let's look at the waveforms. So here you can see the waveforms for the new Jean-Michel Jarre album. This is the CD, and this is the vinyl. So you can see very easily that the CD version is totally squashed as compared to the vinyl. There's a lot more of a dynamic in the vinyl version. If we look at the new Red Hot Chili Peppers, same thing. You can see that there's a lot of peaks and a very detailed waveform for the vinyl version, whereas this is the Cobuzz like streaming version, which is squashed all the way through. Problem is, when you do that kind of treatment to music, what you end up with is like a never-ending barrage of sound and loudness that just never stops. If you take a look like at the fourth track, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is just like a complete brick wall of sound. This gets very fatiguing for the ear very quickly. This is why if you listen to a reasonable volume, that kind of music, when you're going to the third or fourth tracks, your ear starts to get tired of all this. This is the new Taylor Swift. Same thing, like especially the first 3 tracks are just squashed to the limit. This is the 40th anniversary Thriller edition. This is an album that was pretty compressed, like at the mixing stage already, because it's more like a dance pop album. But if you look at the CD, you can see some peaks, but it's like very monotonous block of sound and loud. So this is waveform that I did myself. This is the Black Star album. I've got the vinyl from the time, and I've got the CD when they were released. That's the track A Girl Loves Me, and you can see that the dynamic range is a lot more important on the vinyl. Now, what about reissues? This is the original 1997 Earthling album from Bowie, and this is the current reissue on vinyl. More dynamic, not that much, but more dynamic on the vinyl. This is the original 97 pop album by U2, and this is the latest, I think, vinyl reissue. And the same, you can see a lot more dynamics on the vinyl. Now, is this always the case? No, you can find new CDs where the mastering is pretty conservative, and here's an example. That's the new Animals 2018 remix, Pink Floyd. This is the vinyl and this is the CD. As you can see, there's a bit more volume to the CD album, but it's pretty much the same waveform. Now, the takeaway to me from all this is it's not always the case that the CD version will be compromised in sound quality because of all the compression and the limiting. There are examples of really well mastered CDs today. But it's also the case that there's a lot more chance to get like a more dynamic and pleasing and not tiring sound from the vinyl version, because you can't squash the sound quite as much. Now, that said, some albums will have been compressed at the mixing stage and will sound compressed because that's how they want it to sound on vinyl as well as on CD. But the very last step, which is the mastering, will be done anyway very differently. So I think overall the vinyl version will be the better one from a lot of respects. So just what I wanted to say today. See ya.